How's it going, guys? Welcome back to Basketball Down Under, and today we have an incredible interview with top 5 NBL superstar Jack McVeigh. This was an incredible opportunity to get inside the mind of a top 5 NBL player. You already know BD's going to get you the best insight that you want to hear, so make sure you sit down and enjoy. Guys, welcome back to Basketball Down Under. I'm joined here today with Australian sharpshooter Jack McVeigh. Jack, thank you very much for joining me today. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well. Thank you for having me. Basketball Down Under, man. It's an absolute pleasure to be here. Talk it up, talk some hoops.
I want to kick things off. Talk to me about the no-drop jump shot. I reckon that is one of the hardest skills in basketball to master. You hit a game winner with a no-drop jump shot against Southeast Melbourne Phoenix. Talk to me about that skill. Do you practice it? What's the go?
Yeah. I love the no-drop jump shot. I think that's a skill that separates shooters. It's fun. It's one that's like practical and like it gets to show a little bit of creativity. It is something I work on. It's something the coaches never really love too much. They're always like, "Oh, just bring it down. If you need to shoot that, shot fake and drive." But it's something I work on, get my reps in, and something I feel pretty comfortable shooting.
Yeah, because I know personally I'm a guard, and I find I'm getting into the gym myself, but to get that strength and consistency on a no drop jump shot, something really tough to be able to do. So you practice it often, or like how does that work out?
Well, pretty much like my belief system when it comes to shooting is like it's all in the follow through. So like that wrist and that end motion of your shot is the only thing that all great shooters have in common. So every single great shooter has the same consistent follow through, this wrist towards the ring. Everything else is kind of crazy, from Larry Bird, Reggie Miller to Steph Curry, right? It's all different. It's all crazy. But I've just shot so many form shots in close that the rest of my body is kind of meaningless. Like, don't get me wrong, there's a set way to go. Like if I can left, right, like it does increase that percentages. But I just know if I can snap that wrist, there's a chance of it going in.
I like that. Base is important, but that follow through, you got to teach these kids these days. It's all about that straight follow through.
Yeah, 100%.
So then we'll transition it to what's it like playing under Scott Roth and the actual culture of the Tasmanian Jack Jumpers. I know when he came in the league, it was quite a big deal. He had a bit of a slow start in his initiation, but personally, I watched the culture, the defensive principles, all of that. Looks absolutely phenomenal to be coached by him. How's that all going out for you?
Yeah, definitely. He's been a really big mentor for me, specifically on the defensive end, because I think a lot of coaches don't really know how to teach defense. And so you hear kind of the majority of people talk about defense, talking about effort and working harder and all like they just didn't want it as bad enough. But I don't think that's true. I think a lot of it is skill in terms of the right positioning, knowing exactly the schemes, making reads, making plays. And so learning that stuff in my career has been huge. And then going out there and, held to a level of accountability where if you don't do it, you're not going to play. But learning kind of the art of the defensive end, team defense has been huge. And then on the culture side of things, I mean, he just recruits good dudes. So we come in every day and we're having fun together. Guys are building genuine relationships and guys care about each other. And it makes it easy when guys have to sacrifice, when someone else has a great night and you don't have as good of a night. We're all having fun celebrating each other's successes and it kind of just keeps that momentum building as seasons go on.
Yeah, that's awesome. That really is game changing for a team, and I guess that's why you're sitting second on the ladder at the moment. And had some previous last season was also you guys made the grand final. So
yeah, not bad.
And it's been good culture. Swinging back to the jump shot of things, I want to know. This is going back into the archives. What happened to the one-legged jumper? Why has that been put away?
So it actually hasn't been put away. So I've shot one last game, won the game before. Okay. Both of them are from the 3 too, but both of them missed. It's another shot that coaches don't love too much. So I only really pull it out if 1, I'm feeling really good, or 2, like it's like a late clock kind of. I've been kicked the ball with 3 seconds to go. But it is something I always work on, especially like out of the post, kind of that Dirk Nowitzki fade. But the 3-point fade, like the 1-footer is probably my favorite shot in all of basketball. So anytime I get an excuse to shoot it or like get a chance to get that shot off, I'm always trying and I'm praying it goes in. The more it goes in, the more I'm allowed to do it.
It's really tough, but if you get the green light on that, it's going to be absolutely... Yeah. It's becoming more like fluid in the game, especially women's basketball, I've noticed as well, which is quite random, but there you go. So here's a few little stats for you. Each year, you consistently up your points per game and your field goal percentage. I want to know what's your key that's been getting better each offseason.
Yeah, that's something I've taken a lot of pride in. I mean, not many guys can say they consistently improve from their rookie year to it's my 6th year in the league now. And I think there's a lot of things to take away, but the main one is just constantly trying to improve your processes. So everyone can work hard. I mean, at the NBL level, most guys are getting 2-3 workouts every day in the off season. So then you have to ask, like, how can I improve at improving? And I know that sounds funny or it's like a weird thing to talk about, but it's like, what am I currently doing? What did I do? And how do I improve in that? And that's by getting like new coaches that work with you, new trainers, new weights coaches, and then learning as much as you can, applying that, seeing what works better, what improves you a little bit more, and then constantly putting in a lot of effort, which is kind of mandatory to play at this level. But I would say focus on learning would be the one thing that I think has kept me going and improving as a basketball player.
For sure, because you seem like very much a student of the game. Everyone says they are, but you personally seem like you like that analytical side of it. James Harden came in and said something about a year or two ago that he can work with any trainer he wants, but his personal best coach and critique is himself, because who knows your game better than yourself? So you mentioned that you get new trainers and coaches on the off season, experimenting with different things. But would you say, because you are such a student of the game, because you know your own game so well, would you say the real the reason why you're getting better each season really is because you're figuring out your game, really figuring out how to master it each season? Would that be like a key contributor to that?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, you're also the only one that has to go out there at the end of the day and perform. So you have to, at some point in your career, say, nah, I believe in this. And there's so much noise out there, so many different coaches telling you to do different things. Now, the question is, how do you know, because you don't want to be in a place where you're like, this is my game and this is what I do, but it's not the best way to go about it. So it's like when you get challenged as a coach, you got to go, oh, okay, let me go do some of my own study. Let me make up my opinion. And then sometimes you'll be like, damn, that coach was right. And I do have to change some stuff. And then sometimes you'll go, I disagree. I'm sticking with this. I'm backing myself on this one. So it is a fine line between going like, wow, that coach taught me something about my game that I didn't actually know, versus, you know what, I'm going to stick with what I'm currently doing because I do believe in that. And then that helps you continue to learn more about yourself as a basketball player and more about the art of basketball.
For sure. Well, I think that is one of their biggest skills, to consistently improve each offseason. I think that's harder than winning an MVP nearly, because you're really building on yourself each season. Perfect.
Right. Yeah, personal goals for sure.
Exactly. So, how does playing in the NBL compare to playing overseas in somewhere like Germany? You played in the Bundesliga in the last off-season. You sort of mentioned a little bit about that before. Give me the insight on how the game works physically, skill-wise, speed, all of that sort of thing.
Yeah, it was really cool because that was my first experience playing a high-level European basketball, and it's very similar. I mean, the talent level around the world is just constantly increasing. There was some small things like in the German league, you're allowed 6 imports. So there was 6 of us on the court, kind of all playing at 30, 32 minutes. So there was sometimes locals weren't playing very much at all.
Wow.
Yeah, so that was a crazy experience. And I was one of those imports, obviously, but then the physicality in German was probably increased. It was a super, super physical league. But then the level of imports that Australia have is top tier. I mean, the likes of guys like Milton Doyle, Bryce Cotton, just to name 2 right off the top of their head, but they are world-class basketball players. Should be making arguments for why aren't they in the NBA kind of level scorers. But when in Germany, there probably wasn't that same level of tier of imports. But basketball is growing around the league, and it's pretty similar. Those skill gaps aren't too different.
Right, that's awesome. I mean, that was interesting to say about the physicalities, sort of even more physical in the Bundesliga, because they say the NBL is as physical as it gets, really, and that's what lures those NBA talents here.
Yeah. Well, it was definitely interesting. It was a slower pace over there. So I think, you see right now in the NBL, there's a lot of teams playing real fast pace. You got Illawarra, Sydney Kings, Brisbane, teams are pushing it, and I think that replicates more the NBA style, where a lot of the Europeans like slow it down, run an offense, let's wrestle, set hard screens, throw it into the post. Like that was kind of that European German style.
And then personally, what do you prefer, that fast run and gun, or you like a slow, get the ball low post sort of thing?
Yeah, well, I love the NBL, and then I love a bit of, but I love that basketball is increasing in pace. It's becoming more and more reads, like rather than set plays, and so guys are able to kind of show off that little bit of creativity. You know, it gives more chances for 1 foot 3-pointers and that good stuff, rather than the set. Like this is exactly what the coach wants. It gives a bit more creative freedom for the players. So I'm always backing that.
Yeah, it also creates trust amongst the players and each other, and then everyone's, vibing and flowing, which is good.
Yeah, 100%.
So we'll look at, you've played in 2 NBA ex-NBL crossover games. First of all, I want to hear your experience on that, and then I also want to know, do you think that's good for the league, good for players individually? What's your overall thoughts on that whole situation?
Well, I think it was crazy the first time I did it because I was hyped. We went over with Adelaide 36ers and first Utah, and Donovan Mitchell, Rudy Gobert running around, Joe Ingles, and Dante Exum were on the team. So that was epic. I went over twice, and I still remember the first bucket I got and all that good stuff. And I think at the time, that was a crazy breakthrough for the NBL. I mean, to put those names together, guys go over, like that was like crazy. Just to have those 2 teams competing on the same floor was something that people would never think would have happened. And then last year, Adelaide to get the dub, the win against Phoenix was crazy. This year, I personally am glad that I'm not going over during season because I'm so locked in on the NBL. But I'd be petitioning for a game in Australia. Let's get a game on Australian soil. Whether it's in Sydney, Melbourne, they're the most likely places. But let's get an NBA preseason game. One of the teams to fly out, play 2 teams over here. I think that's the next step of really like that little upgrade. That would be epic.
We better say Tasmania as well, otherwise Jumper fans will be happy.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Get one in Tassie too.
And then how did you find the game style? Because it's only a one-off game, so you don't really get time to adjust. You have to adjust in that moment. Was it hard to, adjust to the length and sort of speed and athleticism of some of these American guys?
They're definitely so athletic. And then you don't realize how much bigger the NBA court is. Like a lot of people don't realize that. The NBA court is way wider. And then the key is wider, and then the 3-pointer is longer. So the space when they're making shots and like the closeouts and playing defense it's tough.
So we'll look back at last season. You had a more pass-first point guard in Josh McVeigh. What's it been like playing with a 5'6" Jordan Crawford? How have you had to adjust your game, defensively and offensively, because he's more of a scoring guard per se, and then defensively, do you have to run different sets to sort of protect him?
Yeah, well, we'll start with the defensive one, because I think coming into it, that was something that as a teammate and a player, I'm asking that question, like, wow, like he's given up a lot of size. Like, are we going to double the post every time this year? What's it going to be like? And so far, we haven't felt anything. We've actually made a joke that we reckon he's the best post defender in the league. Wow. because he's been getting posted up his whole life. So from the moment he stepped into a basketball court, basketball gym, guys have been posting him up in pickup, and like he's got all these crazy little tricks. He's been pulling the chair, guard's physical, and so we haven't seen someone scoring him in the post yet. And so we've been joking about that. Today we're playing some one-on-one in the post, and he was getting stops, and so that side of it has been awesome. Like, we don't even think about it as a team at all. And then offensively, it is a little different to Josh McVeigh, but not really. Like, both of them are similar. They always make the right pass, the right read. JC's ability to hit that step back and get going. Like last week, he had 27. This week, he had 32. And to be honest, like, my job right now is easy. I get my occasional post-ups, catch and shoot threes, and I just am having fun out there cheering him and Milton Doyle on doing that thing.
He's looking really nice out there in Crafty. Look, I'm a basketball head, so I knew exactly who he was coming in. But it was that defensive side, and, can he create for others? And he seems to be doing a good job, especially if a teammate of his has got the easy job. He couldn't ask for anything more.
100%.
So, is the NBL the long-term goal for you? Are you looking to play summer league, overseas spots during the off-season? Because I know you play NBL wide, it's quite close to home and that sort of thing. What do you see your next couple of years looking like too? Because you said you
Yeah, well, I definitely have two goals for sure. I think on my Instagram bio it says that it's one, I want to win an NBL championship, and two, I would love to get a regular season NBA bucket. Like they're the two things that I would like to do that motivate me, that inspire me. And so in terms of my basketball career, I want to win an NBL championship, and I would love to shoot a 1 foot fadeaway in the NBA and get a bucket and have that on video and say, I think there's only been 3,000 or 4,000 players to ever play in the NBA, and say I'm one of the best 4,000 basketball players to ever kind of suit up. So they're my two goals.
That's a pretty huge goal, especially the NBL. I'm looking from obviously an outsider's perspective, but there's a lot of guys that don't have that real drive for that loyalty of the NBL as such. But you've been, this whole time we've been talking, you bleeding NBL, which is awesome to see homegrown talent really sticking with the league. And then what do you see yourself to take that game to that next level to get that NBA regular season spot?
There's a couple things. Like a lot of people always talk about luck, position. I don't really believe in any of that. If you're good enough, you're going to be there. So for me, it's continuing to work on that 3D ball. Like, how can I create threes and shoot it at a really high clip? And then just defensively, I have to be better. If I wanted to ever play in that league, I have to be able to guard 1 through 5 at a decent level. And right now,
plays defense in the NBA.
but they switch. You can't be coming down Curry and cooking me 10 out of 10 times. I got to at least get one stop. So working on that kind of side of it, continuing to build that little athleticism, that strength, and becoming really good on the defensive end.
Awesome. Do you find it hard working on the defensive side? It's boring, isn't it? But it has to be done.
It has to be done, and it's made easy down here because that's all we talk about and that's all we do. So if you're not working on it down here, then you're not going to last very long.
For sure. Wow, it's interesting. It's really interesting. That's the culture. I like that. So unlike other NBL players, you've actually signed some long-term deals in your career. 3 years at Adelaide, 2 years here at Tassie. How does your game change playing knowing that you have the security of, a couple of years in your contract? Does it influence? Because a lot of other NBL guys are just signing 1 year, maybe 2 year deals.
Yeah, I think it is some cool things. Like with Adelaide, it was coming off a rookie. So you always want that longer contract coming into the NBL, because it doesn't matter how much success you've had before. You kind of never know how your game's going to translate. And so you see sometimes guys come in and it takes them 2-3 years. I was one of those guys. Sometimes guys come in and they're good straight away and they're comfortable in that man's game. So to get a longer contract as a rookie, I think is always a good thing, because it gives you time to develop, get comfortable in the league, learn about it. And then in Tassie, I was just, lucky that Big Scotty made some calls, and then he must have called the right people, because they vouched for me and said, he's going to work hard, he's going to show up every day. And so that gave him a trust to kind of give me that 2-year deal. And then I added on the 2-year extension. So I'll be guaranteed here for 4 years, and I'm loving it. So I wouldn't say it changes my game. I kind of always feel like I'm just trying to improve, and I'm in that space of, if I don't show up, I'm not going to play, which I don't know is how healthy or not. So, in terms of, I got to compete and be the best version of myself every day. So it doesn't give me a complacency, but it always feels nice to know you're backed by the club, by the coach.
Yeah, so I'm sure it helps with the confidence when you're shooting the ball.
Yeah,
being dragged if you're missing it, which is good.
Yeah, for sure.
So we'll swing it over to a little bit more of a deeper question. What's the most valuable opportunity that has come to you from playing pro basketball? I know you played at Nebraska College, and then you've come over to the NBL, season in Bundesliga, NBL 1. What's been the best opportunity?
That's a great question. I think starting a club was a crazy experience. Like, to come into the Jack Jumpers and being able to start a club from a foundation is wild, because so many times you're in clubs or in situations, you're in teams, and you're like, I want to do this different. I want to do that different. Oh, this is the club's fault, or this is the culture's fault, or I wish I could change this. Well, when you start something, you got no excuses. Whatever that becomes is because of you. And so we kind of, as a club, knew that. We all said we want to do this the right way. And so to have that opportunity to kind of build a foundation of a place, it was pretty special.
That's awesome. And especially now, you got the crowd is roaring. You go there, I haven't been to a game yet in Tassie, but the crowd's roaring. And now you got backed by Money Mayweather. Is he down sometime soon?
I think so, man. It's cool. It's cool. JC telling us some of the stories about him and stuff, and getting some little insights. But he's contemplating it, so we could see him front row in Tasmania cheering us on. And we got to put on a performance if that happens.
Well, you know, the only issue is, I might get myself cancelled saying this. The only issue is he has to fly overseas to Australia, and then he's going overseas again to go to Tasmania because, don't blame me, Tassie out of Australia.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. Definitely is that double flight for sure. You're crossing water again.
And then personally, what's the future with your content? What's the goals with it all?
Yeah, so I've been posting pretty crazy on the content, kind of asking the question, like, what do I want to do post-basketball? Which direction do I want to go? And for sure, it's helping dudes reach their dreams. Right now, it's in that basketball space, trying to be that mentor that I wish I had. I wish I could have gone onto social media and used that as, you know, to find guidance, to be like, what should I do if I'm feeling this type of way? So I'm trying to build kind of a brand in that, trying to offer the advice that I needed 2 years ago. And then I'm going to put out some programs in the future, some shooting programs, some big man footwork programs, and then collab with like a weight room coach and kind of put out a little, like, building some athleticism, collab with a sports psychologist, put out a little confidence thing like that. And so kind of make like a little brand where it's like, if you want to become a professional basketball player, I'm the guy that you can talk to that can help you achieve that.
That is very awesome. I like that. That really is cool. Final question. Now, we have timed this a little bit, unfortunately. So we're about 2 months away before you come back to Melbourne or something like that. But the question is, when you come back to Melbourne, what's the score? We're going game to 11, 1v1, or a shooting challenge. I want to answer both. What's the scores going on?
Well, how much basketball have you played? That's all I need to know.
I'm a hooper. I'm going to give you buckets.
Okay. Is it winner's ball?
It's possession. It's always possession.
Okay. But then if I start with the ball, I think if we're going all ones, we're going 11-3.
Okay, giving me.
Yeah. And if it's a shootout, say we're shooting 25 spots, I'm never really shooting under 20. So if that's from 3, so you think you can keep up with that, then we can have a shootout and then see where we're going with it.
All right, I like that. Well, I reckon if we're going game to 11, all ones, I'm winning 11-0.
Oh, there we go. I like it.
And then if we're
confident hooper.
Hell, exactly. And then if we're going 5 shots from each spot, I'm taking on the W as well. I'm taking on the title of the best shooter on the internet. So I'm winning where my mouth is.
Yeah. We'll have to make this happen. We'll have to line it up whenever I get down to Melbourne and see what we can do. The whole thing will be recorded too, so there'll be no lies.
There's no running.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, Jack, thank you very much for coming on today. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. Content's been awesome. The interview today was absolutely fantastic, and appreciate everything you gave me today. And all the best for the rest of the season. And hopefully Tassie can get that dub and take home the gold championship this season, this time round.
Hey, I appreciate you, man. Thank you very much for having me and supporting.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much. And once again, Jack, thank you so much for that interview. It was bloody incredible. Some of the insight that we got there is certainly stuff that you have never heard before. You know, BD is going to get you the information that you want to know and the insight that you want to hear. I'm not afraid to ask those big time burning questions. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Share this with your friends, and I'll catch you later.